all. Stephen here, Sunday evening in the UK. Third video in 3 days. Stop the madness. You'll notice I'm indoors. Lovely sunshine Friday. Warm but overcast yesterday. With rain today. Still, it's meant to get nicer as the week goes on, and it is only May, so you can't complain too much. Smoking my Bayard with more rich dark flake. The UK equivalent of Stonehaven, as I've said before, but I'll repeat myself. Before I get started, just in case Jack, the magician piper, down under in Aussie is watching this, Jack, still messing about with that Vegemite stuff, mate. Feast your eyes on that. Ambrosia of the gods. I could mainline this stuff. It's made me the man I am today. Which may or may not be a recommendation, depending on your point of view. Anyway, a couple of weeks ago I asked people for questions. I haven't answered them yet, but I haven't forgotten them. It's just that I get sidetracked, I digress. I was once a professional digresser. But I am going to be dealing with them all as we go on. And the first one I thought I'd touch on was the one that Nikolai, MercifulAndvary, Nikolai in Moscow put up. And he asked what got me into pipe smoking, what attracted me. He did a supplementary question as well, which is the way things are perceived. Pipe smoking is perceived by different ages, which is more difficult for me to deal with. I can't really answer that one, but what got me into pipe smoking, I have touched on this before, but I did smoke cigarettes when I was younger, but I stopped when I was 25, so that's 37 odd years ago. Never really been tempted back to doing that, but had been tempted by the idea, especially once I moved into my own home just over 5 years ago after my marriage ended. I toyed with the pipe smoking idea quite a bit. It's difficult to pinpoint exactly why, but I would say I think it's more to do with the actual preparation thing, the whole thing around pipe smoking, the possession of the pipe, the shape of them, the different varieties of tobacco, the getting it the right consistency, moisture content, the whole lot. It was all more of that than it was anything to do with, of course, the thing that most people associate with tobacco, which is nicotine, which wasn't a big factor for me. I think, in fact, when I first started, I didn't even give nicotine content a thought. So yeah, it was the whole practice of pipe smoking. And the reason I came to it, one of the reasons I came to it is, I've said before, I suffer from depression, I get anxiety attacks, tend to get a bit stressed out by certain situations. And I thought the whole practice, to me, appeared to be calming and restful. And I have to say, that's the way it's actually turned out to be. You have to take time with a pipe, as you all know. And there's something that when you're really wound up, there's really nothing, certainly with me, that relaxes me quite like a pipe. Perhaps even more so with tobaccos that require a bit of preparation, like plugs, flakes or whatever. And that's how I came to it. And I've got no regrets. I mean, I haven't been smoking as long as you thought, Nikolai. You thought a couple of years. I only started last August. So not even hit a year yet. But I'm sticking with it and enjoying the journey. So many different tobaccos to try. It's all a bit of an adventure, really, isn't it? Now, I couldn't answer the other question about how it's perceived by different generations. But it did set me thinking about smoking in general. And the way that's perceived nowadays. I mean, I live in London, a city of millions and millions of people. I don't think I could tell you when I ever last saw someone smoking a pipe on the street in public. You see people smoking cigarettes, you see a lot of people vaping now. And even if you just don't see them, you sense them because you're walking along or even driving along with the windows open, and suddenly you hit this sort of invisible cloud of fruit-scented vapour. But never see anyone smoking a pipe. And it set me thinking about smoking in general, because when I was growing up in the 50s, late 50s, early 60s, and all the way into the 70s, everybody smoked. Both my parents were heavy smokers, and there was none of this, well, go out in the garden and have a cigarette so the kids don't inhale it. Yeah. No, they puffed away in our presence for years and years. All my aunts and uncles smoked. All that my mum and dad's friends smoked. It was more unusual to find a non-smoker than it was a smoker. And I was actually thinking about this because I started, because it was like a rite of passage thing. When were you going to have your first cigarette? I mean, it wasn't a question of if you were going to take up smoking, it was when. And, you know, about 14 or 15, that's when we all tended to get started. Cigarettes were dirt cheap in those days. And I smoked from about the age of 15 to the age of 25. I was never a heavy smoker, I was more of a social smoker. But I smoked nonetheless. But I'd be prepared to say in the first 30 years of my life, I inhaled more smoke through passive smoking than I did from actually smoking cigarettes. As I say, family, mum and dad. You went in restaurants, cafes, people smoked, people behind the counter would be smoking in some of the greasy spoon cafes we used to go into. People smoked at work, on public transport. I think it'd be difficult for young people now to realise just what it was like. I mean, yeah, my first few years of working were in sort of labouring jobs where I was largely working outside. And you'd get in the van, everyone would be crammed in the van at lunchtime to eat their lunch, and clouds of smoke drifting around. My first ever boss used to smoke, not cigarettes, but a cigar called Hamlet, quite a famous over-the-counter cigar in this country. I can still smell it. Yeah, I used to go home smelling of his cigar smoke. And that continued right up until the 80s. I used to, I worked for the government from 1977 onwards. And in 1982 I moved to a new job in a new office. And the situation of the office was that it used to catch the afternoon sunlight, and there was an open plan area that we worked in. There was only a couple of dozen people working in there, but the sun used to hit that room in the afternoon, and I kid you not, You'd walk in and you would see a bank of smoke hovering a couple of feet above the desks. And by that time, I didn't even smoke anymore. But God, that was how much I was actually breathing in. So, yeah, it's weird now, because now it just... I finished work sort of 6 years ago. And by that time, of course, you weren't allowed to smoke in the office. For a few years before the total ban, we'd had smoking rooms where smokers could go and have a cigarette. Then, of course, that was outlawed and they had to go and stand outside on the street. Restaurants, you can't smoke. Pubs, you can't smoke. It's a totally different world. Whether it's a good or bad thing, I don't know. I mean, you know. Obviously, I would like, on the rare occasions I go up to town and meet a couple of friends of mine for a drink in a pub, I'd like to be able to smoke a pipe, but, you know, you've got to think about other people. Cheers. So, yeah. I've probably wandered way off track again. But yeah, the whole smoking thing from now, even just back 30 odd years, totally different in terms of acceptability. And smoking a pipe itself, I did it for relaxation, a hobby, more than a need to get any kind of nicotine fix. And I've gone on long enough now, so I think I'll jack it in. Give you all a rest for a week from my ugly mug. And hopefully by next weekend we'll have a bit of sunshine. So I'm going to go off. I will be answering the other questions that have been raised, if I can keep this on track. But I do appreciate you asking them. Go off and enjoy the rest of my pipe. Drink some more beer. And cuddle my Marmite. Bye bye all. Take care. Hope you're all safe, well and warm and content. And yeah, look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.